This is Lockie Hume, and you're listening to the Crowject.
Betts with an opportunity about 50 metres out. Oh, yes! 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 The excitement machine, McLeod. Left foot goal, don't tell me. He's a superstar, tell me. Oh! Bounces straight up, leaves a path the ball.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Crowject. A big thank you to our sponsors in Nathaniel's Coffee, PayMed SA and Trojan Aluminium for making this all possible. I am joined here online in a COVID-safe world by Damon. Hello, Damon.
Hello, Elodie. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me? Oh, wait, hang on. I'm talking.
I can hear you. I can't hear me. Can you hear you?
Let's hope that this is not the entire episode. It's always a bit harder online, but we're going to make it through because we've got the tech whiz, Lleyton, here. Hey, Lleyton.
Hello.
Lleyton spent about half an hour trying to get me onto this and set up all the mics and headphones for everyone. Thank you, Lleyton.
No worries.
And Peter, Pilot Pete, how are you?
Good. It's good that I sent out all the equipment yesterday and just said, go for your life, because we just spent the last 45 minutes banging our heads against the wall. And nothing like watching Damon just drop F-bombs on mute because he wasn't connected properly. So apologies, everyone. But back to you, Elodie.
The joys of the online world. So we're going to jump straight into it with the AFLW. So Crows getting over North Melbourne. 2 wins in a row to start the season. So it's Crows 5-7-37 to North Melbourne 3-6-24. Thoughts on the game, Damon?
Another really impressive win. Not quite as impressive in terms of score as last week's when we just jumped Brisbane. Yeah. But we've got to remember that North Melbourne is considered another grand final contender this year. So we've just knocked out 2 of our biggest rivals in the first 2 rounds. And then we go away on a tough road trip to West Coast, which obviously we'll talk about later. We should be full of confidence because really on paper, apart from Freo, we've just beaten our 2 biggest competitors for the year. So it's a huge win. Can't be underrated.
Yeah, definitely. And Woodland backing a performance up from last week with another 4 goals. I think that makes her the most goals ever kicked in the first 2 rounds of AFLW. So that's impressive.
Amazing.
Stevie Lee getting on the scoreboard too. Yeah, sorry, Lleyton. What do you think of that?
Oh, great performance. And I think she was the first ever AFLW player to kick 4 or more goals in consecutive games.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Swamp Thing.
Yeah. I reckon still probably best on ground was Anne Hatchard with 29 touches, 14 marks, which in the interview Damon had with her, that was her main focus, especially contested marking, so did well there. And a casual 2 tackles.
Wow. So you can credit that one to Damon. You sort of dragged it out of her, you know. What are you going to work on? What are you going to do better? There you go. She did it.
I'll take it. I'll take all credit for it.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, that Damon didn't just heckle her on Insta. He actually interviewed her, which is available on our Patreon, patreon.com/Crowject. But Damon, just real quick about that interview, what were your thoughts and how did that one go, mate?
Oh, it was amazing. It was she's just an excellent person all round to chat to. And she's like so many of the other AFLW players that you speak to. They just love the game. I think I've said this before, either in private or on air, I can't remember. But, you know, we've had some great chats with men's players and coaches and things like that. And they're amazing too, but they have that media training and that professionalism about them. You know, this is all sort of part of the job. With the women, you can really tell they're doing this for the love of it. They're genuine. And Anne is no exception to that. She just really, really loves playing footy, loves having the opportunity to do it, and was more than happy to chat to me for a second time, which we addressed.
Yeah, so Elodie, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Damon...
She's aware. Everyone knows about it.
Wait, what? Has anyone mentioned this? Why do we not bring this up?
Yeah, allegedly, Damon forgot to record his first interview with Hatchie.
You're kidding.
Because he was pooping his pants with excitement. But Damon, have we lived that one down yet? And Lleyton, do you think we should rub it in a bit more?
No, definitely rub it in a bit more. This is why we got the new platform of recording, so it tells you when you're not recording.
This is why we paid all this money just to Damon-proof the whole system.
Yeah.
I think Damon has to wait for one of us to screw up just as badly, and then
it'll happen.
The pressure will be off.
It's bound to happen at some point, yeah. But I love, I think it was you, Elodie, that said when you interviewed Will Young, you made sure you had like 4 or 5 different recording devices all working at the same time just to avoid that one problem. And I couldn't even bother to see if the little red light was going. But back to the footy though. No, Anne was fantastic.
I know.
No, Lleyton, we're moving on.
My favourite part was her saying, "I don't think I'm going to be back on a third time if this one wasn't recorded."
So, no, she was excellent. Great chat. And, she did say she wanted to work on the overhead marking, and she did a good job of that in the first round. But, Lleyton, what did you say? How many did she take in this one?
14 marks. So, I don't think all of them were contested, but still a great effort. I think it might be a competition high as well.
It's amazing. I honestly think, and Woodland might give her a bit of a shake for this, the way she's going, but right now Hatchard is staring at a best and fairest. I think last week was an awesome game from her as well. I think she racked up in the 20 disposals just like this week. So she's going to be up there with like Erin Phillips and Marinoff for the medal at the end of the year, I think.
Because I know for the end of year BNF, that's all well and good, but I still think Elodie's idea of naming the minor round leading goal kicker as the Cole Woman medal is still something that you need to get around. So go on to our Twitter at Crowject and please like and retweet that one. We had a couple of misogynistic arseholes who decided to say, no, it's stupid, but whatever. What can you do?
Yeah, there's always going to be one.
Yeah. I can't tell if it's funnier or less funnier the more I hear it.
Oh, you're one of them.
Yeah.
You're one of the trolls, Lleyton.
No, I kind of feel you. The first time I was just, this is terrible. When I wrote that tweet, I was like, this is a terrible idea. But it sort of got more funny, and then less funny, and then more funny again.
You're riding the full roller coaster of this one joke, aren't you? All the dips and troughs.
She literally vomited on her phone when she pressed the send button. God.
Anyway, back to the footy.
Yes.
How many times are we going to say that this episode? I was also impressed. A couple of others I was impressed with. I thought Sarah Allen was really solid in defence.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Rochelle Martin, of course, once again, those bursts out of the middle, the defence, like the pressure that she puts on in the midfield, amazing. And Montana McKinnon as well.
Yeah.
She was really good. She was really good in the ruck. She was dominant.
Do you know what I've noticed too in the women's game is that because it's a lower scoring game, you don't get as many return to the centre for ball ups and big ruck contests. But what McKinnon can do is she took some really good marks down back. So, you know, if she can be a dangerous tool around the ground, which she's showing she can be, and she's only like 20, isn't she? She's only a new recruit, a new draftee. So she's got a huge amount of upside.
Oh, definitely. And then I think Caitlin Gould went off at some point. I think she's out with concussion protocol now, isn't she?
Yes, and that's why we saw more of McKinnon, because she sort of took over the ruck roles. But back to that point of not many centre bounces, that's very lucky for the Crows this year, because we've been smashed in both games so far.
Oh, really?
Clearances. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got do you have the stats there, Lleyton? Or?
No.
Or is it just a gut feel, mate? It's just
I'll try and get
just
up the
a
stats.
vibe of it.
Just a vibe, yeah.
No, I mean...
But yeah.
Sorry,
it should. I mean, it feels like we should be smashing it out of the midfield. Just on paper, the midfield we have looks amazing. Though North Melbourne do have that... is that Ashley Riddle that got the... she equalled the possession record last week. And she was killing us in the first half, actually. I think she got about 20 touches or so in the first half, but then we really shut her down in the second half, which was good to see.
Yep. Chatting to Anne Hatchard last week, she was saying that that's probably the one big thing they really need to focus on with North Melbourne, their contested work around the stoppages. And you're right, it looked like it sort of took a half to adjust, because they've got some absolute quality in their midfield, and it was billed as the battle of the two midfields. But I think we just seem to have another gear that other teams don't at the moment. And the big test I think is going to be playing the other big team in the comp, which is Fremantle at the moment, who are top. But until then, it looks like we've just got another set of legs that we can pull out in the second half. You know, we just look like we're able to run over teams better than most.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good point. But the worrying sign out of the game was definitely the injury to the captain, Randall.
Oh, yeah.
There was
Any
worries it
updates
was
on
like a
that one?
knee. It was initially, but I think it's just a low hamstring injury.
I think that's what they were hoping. Peter, any updates on that?
Yes.
Well, she said that after the game to Samantha Lane as well, just pretty much said it looks like a tight hammy, which, to be honest, the way she was mobilising on it, it looked like it. That's from my uninformed viewpoint. But to be honest, her spirits were still pretty good, considering she was on the bench and everything, telling the girls to get in position and everything. On that, given it was near the end of the game, did anyone observe that last flowing play from the back line right to the goal? It did feel like 2017 Crows, including a little bit of jank time in the goal square as well. I can't remember who kicked that goal, but
Woodland, of course.
It was Woodland.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know what you
but
mean.
one of the goals.
Yeah.
It was, was it Ponta that handballs it, draws a player, then handballs it over to Woodland? It was,
Yes.
But that's what I mean though. Like that late in the game against really good opposition, against a midfield that plays in tight and dominates possession and blah, blah, blah. And then late in the game, we're able to just run it out of defence like that and just chain a handballs to an open mouth goal. You don't do that unless you're just fitter than the rest and able to go up a gear like we did. So, Pete, that was awesome. I'm having a look at Chelsea, what AFLW.com says about Chelsea Randall. And a quote here I've got is, I just felt a little sudden tightness, so we'll just have to take a look at it this week and go from there. Nothing more on what it turns out to be. But, Pete, in terms of hamstring tightness, is that a worry for her knee?
Well, it does sound like a little bit of hamstring awareness.
Yes. The classic awareness.
The old awareness. I'm aware that my hamstring exists. It is there. It twinged, and it does that. So I iced it to make it feel cooler so that it was aware of its awareness. So it was self-aware.
So would you describe her as being hamstring agnostic or hamstring believer?
Oh, she's a believer.
She's a true believer. Yeah. Okay.
She's born again. Hamstrings,
She's
baby.
aware.
Hamstring Hillsong happened on the weekend.
Get some essential oils into that hamstring and she'll be good to go in no time.
And you never know, she might be aware of the other one by next week.
Oh, God. True hamstring awareness. The
Swing
double.
them hamstring rosary beads around as well. I just want to point out something that friend of the pod and Patreon, Brendan McGarrigan, pointed out that I think it was in the first quarter, the score was 1-1-7 for both sides, and he managed to point out, and I'll put this up on the socials, that the font for every single one on the scoreboard was different. That's an achievement in itself.
They've
That's
just run
the sort
out.
of crap you expect from the Crowject. Now, real quick, I'm just going to go to the socials as well, to Instagram and Facebook as well, and Twitter for some of the feedback as well. I'll quickly go to Instagram first. We've got thoughts on the game. So after every game, we ask people to give their feedback on the games as well on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram on the stories there. So Dirk Wood said, Hannah Martin goes so hard. At one stage, she tried to burrow her way to a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. Tail D says, what we did, we done did it good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
David Veeney says, loved McKinnon's game today. Could be huge for us this year. Couldn't agree more. And and this is something I'm going to ask of you, Elodie. Crowd was amazing. What were your thoughts at the ground as our roving reporter?
Yeah, actually, I thought the atmosphere was great. I mean, compared to Nollunga Oval. Sorry, I spent most of last episode shitting on Nollunga Oval, which should probably be nice. But
I'm amazed we
I've
haven't
always,
had comments on that, to be honest, because we did just spend half an episode ragging on Nollunga Oval and no one
No,
bit back.
don't worry, I'll defend
no one
it.
cares.
Even Lleyton just sat there, just like, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we know it.
The only thing I can defend is you said it was like a longer distance to drive to the city, but it's like less from Elizabeth to the... Yeah.
It's a
From
long
Elizabeth
way
to the
away.
city
It's such
It's
a long way
longer
away.
than
It's just
Nollunga
so
to the
long.
city. So just
We all
saying.
agree Nollunga Oval bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's bad.
But it gives
Bad.
the girls more room to play, though. There's less congestion.
Yeah,
you
that's
can't
true.
see them.
Give them some space.
But
Yeah,
there
just
was
watched it on
Hey.
TV.
It looked like there was
Give the
sheep
girls some
grazing in the
space.
forward pocket, Lleyton.
I don't know what they were grazing on. There wasn't much grass, but... Yes, But to answer your question, the atmosphere, yeah, it was really good. There was a lot of people got out to the game. There was actual seats and stands to sit in. It was lovely. They probably should have opened some more bars. Anyone that was at the game would probably agree. There was about 2 bars open and the lines were all the way down. But anyway, that's sort of irrelevant. It was good.
Classic
I like
Norwood.
Norwood Oval, and I'm glad that most of the games are getting played at Norwood Oval. It's a good location. Good
Nothing
oval.
like having 2 super spreader bars. It's always good. And then we got memes about Crom, who says, 3rd premiership coming in hot. Couldn't agree more. Unbiased account here. Eloise Jones fan says, amazing win. Great goal kicking by Ash Woodland and great game for Eloise and Anne. And friend of Pond, Sab Curtis says, Hatchie massive after interview with Damo.
There you go.
Someone's listening. Thank you very much.
That's one.
I take zero credit for her form, by the way. I'm just lucky enough to have had a chat with her.
All right.
Could you
all
imagine
right.
if you recorded the other one, mate?
Oh, jeez.
Would have won that premiership last
Yeah.
year. Anyway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's all on me.
Yeah, so over to Twitter, we've got Dan80 at Danny Laconic. Yes, that's the username. Ash Woodland showing the benefits of a full year in the AFLW system, an absolute gun. We've got Tristan _Thorn who says, I missed most of the game except for a dodgy call and an incredible team goal, 10 out of 10. I'm trying to remember when there was an umpire's call. Was that in the defensive 50?
Yeah, it was.
I think, and it led to a Kangaroos goal?
Late in the game, and and it wasn't picked up on commentary, or if it was, not well enough, because no one knows what the free kick was for. Yep. No one knows who it was against. All the players had started running downfield expecting a Crows kick down the wing. So it was just, whatever call it was bewildering, to say the least. Yeah, nah.
And on that, Damon's principal, Sean Craig Murphy, says, that non-mark at the end, WTF.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
All right.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't forget to give your apple to him, Damon, at the start. Oh, God. Literally an apple. Fuji apples are usually good at this time of year. Rodney Dangerfield at Dangerfield182 says, thoughts on Ed Marinoff's shot on goal? I didn't see that one. Does anyone remember that one?
No.
I think she just missed it.
Yeah. I think she just missed a set shot at goal. I think that's...
Yeah.
Oh, you won't believe it, but that only happens in the women's game. The men, they always kick
Never
goals.
miss.
and it's not-
Never miss.
It's a fact.
Oh, she kicks like a girl.
Now, speaking of Noffy interviews,
Were we speaking of
Were
Noffy
we?
interviews?
We are now.
We can now if you want to.
You got a bit of sizzle about that one,
Oh,
boss?
I've got a lot of sizzle. This Thursday we'll have the great lady Ebony Marinoff joining me for a chat, which is huge. She's been an interview that we've been angling for since day one of doing AFLW interviews, and you sort of put the feelers out there and you ask, thinking that you'll get knocked back, but no, she's keen. So this Thursday I'll be recording that, and it'll be up on the Friday, I think.
And you will be recording it.
I hope so. Or it'll
And
be for
Elodie,
nothing.
you've got a more obscure player lined up for an interview.
Oh, yes. Thursday is a big day for the Crowject. I've also got an interview lined up for Thursday evening. Nice Thursday evening date with Ian Callanan.
Old wingnut.
Go nutsy for nutsy.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So if anyone has any questions for him and hears this before Thursday, is this going up before Thursday? Maybe.
It'll be going up tonight, boss.
Oh, lovely. Well, yeah, if anyone's got any questions for old Nutsy, let me know.
And is that going to be part of the Obscure Crow series, Elodie, on which the people can get to through the Patreon? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've already done an episode on Ian Callanan, but the episode we did on him didn't feature Ian Callanan. I think the person who knows the most about Ian Callanan is probably Ian Callanan. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. See if he can do a better job.
We'll play the two interviews back to back. Like we'll do your interview and then we'll do the episode, and we'll just see. We'll just see who tells a better life story. Yeah.
I think
I don't
you
know.
did that episode, Damon. So
Oh well, then he definitely knows it better because I can't remember doing that.
I was going to say, Elodie, I think you knew more about Nick Gill
oh,
than
that's
Nick Gill
true.
knew about Nick Gill. For example,
Yeah.
what he put in his rubbish last week because he kept going through it. So,
Even though he's in Sydney.
yeah, exactly.
It's a long flight.
Yeah, it was worth it. Man, what's with all these garbage bags? Just shut up, all right? Anyway, we got Don at Squizzy36 who says, yeah, baby, and a wink emoji. Hello. Phantom Apologist at Comrade Cluzzy says, amazing how many people show up when you don't host the game in whatever arid hellscape they played at last round.
So on that arid hellscape, which we all refer to as the southern suburbs, the reason why I found out why they actually did that during the week, it's because of the rescheduling of matches. We were meant to be playing West Coast in West Coast, and because they had to reschedule, the AFLW said, well, you can't now play at Norwood because officially that would make it a Crows home game, or it would give you a home field advantage in what's meant to be your away game. So we got to play it neutral. And I thought this sounds so convoluted and ridiculous. Why not just next time we play West Coast, we'll just play them in Subiaco then?
Yeah,
Right.
it does make sense.
Yeah,
but
just swap the
too much
games,
sense.
swap the home and the away. That, and I'm positive we played in the men's last year. I'm sure there have been games for the men's league where it's meant to be our home game, but we play it at theirs, and I'm sure that's happened in the past. I'm sure that's not a... There's no need to go down an All-Lunga is what I'm trying to say. That should be playing Z going down that far, so I don't know why they thought
Doesn't
that was
make more
good.
sense to play at West Adelaide.
Literally anywhere else?
West Coast,
Essentially.
West.
No, just because the parking at West Adelaide's horrible.
Oh,
There's enough parking at Noarlunga.
Don't
Yeah.
get me started.
You
Yeah,
park
there's-
on the Oval.
Yeah, there's plenty of dirt around the place to park there.
Shout out to all the Lunga listeners. We've got Madeline Irwin at and friend of the pod on Patreon, Maddie I_3, who says, Woodland and Hatchie are best, but a fantastic team performance. Hoping Randall is okay for next week, although Gould will be out. Amen. GN Delayed at Gabe Lord. I like Gabe Lord's Twitter handle because it's all in caps. It's just Gabe Lord, like Gabe Lord. Rach Martin is the future, and then Camillo Lombardi says, what's the crowds like now? Well, Camillo, I think it's because they can finally make it to a place where you won't get assaulted. So that's always a good thing.
wow.
I went there.
Wow,
Okay.
you really did.
Yeah, well. And finally, we go over to Facebook and we got Brendan McGarrigan, friend of the pod, Patreon, who says, the Woodland show continues. Great fighting win by the girls. Paul White says, great effort against quality opponent. Woodland up forward is going to be a real asset for us, and the midfield was much better this week. And Benjamin Shaw, echoing those sentiments, says, Woodland's gun looks so dangerous whenever the ball gets near. There was a noticeable drop in quality from both sides throughout the game. Fatigue from playing in the summer, maybe. Well, when it was pretty humid, wasn't it,
Yeah.
Elodie?
Yeah, it was
pretty-
fairly humid. It was a
Yeah.
nice breeze. Nice cool
wasn't it?
breeze.
10 to 15 knots, you know.
Yeah.
West,
about that.
southwest, yeah, okay. Anyway, hey, a win's a win, he says. And Drew Corner, friend of the pod, Patreon, says, girls are in great form. Hatchie and Woodland absolutely smashing it for the Crom. Small mistakes here and there, but great team effort. Couldn't agree more, mate. And Tyson Steady says, 11 goals scored from the team so far. Ashley has scored 8 of them.
Yeah, well, about
That's a fair
Woodland,
output.
round 2 was much better performance overall because I think in round 1 she had like 5 or 6 touches for 4 goals, whereas this time she had a lot more up the ground as well as finishing off the good work.
Do you know what
Yeah,
impressed?
definitely.
Sorry, Elodie. What impresses me about her too is that her goals were different. You know, some of them were from marking contests. What did anyone see, Elodie? Did you notice her marking it one-handed, just
Yeah,
floating back
yeah,
with
that
her
was
Yeah,
foot?
good,
casually.
I mean, at one point she's balancing it, and you think you could get another hand to that, but she's like, "No, I got this.
Yeah.
I can just palm this. I'm good." And then there was another one where she just comes running out the goal square and intercepts a handball, and turns around and puts it over her shoulder. So she's kicking every kind of goal, and she's using every trick in her bag at the moment. Like she's too quick for defenders. She's too tall. She marks too well. She kicks from far out. If she keeps it up, she's just going to dominate. She's going to kick 4 every game.
And it
and
seems like... You go,
She
Elodie.
was a big part of the setup for Stevie Lee's goal as well. So she was basically like a huge part of all 5 goals scored in the game. And yeah, 7 marks for the game. So yeah, it's a good effort. Sorry, Lleyton. What were you
That's
saying?
right. It's a bit of a change compared to the last few seasons, especially the Crows have seen a lot of behinds of getting like 12 behinds in 4 goals or something. With her up front, you just know there's going to be a bit more accuracy, which always helps, especially in the shorter game.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
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 What's next?
All right. What is next? What do we have next to talk about? I think that's covered pretty much everything. Have you got
Crows
any more fan? Did we cover all of the socials comments Peter?
We sure did, mate.
Oh, lovely. All right. So next, we are going into some men's news from the off-season. We've got here Seedsman struggling with concussion effects. I haven't actually heard about this one.
Yeah.
Someone else can take this.
Over to you, Damon.
Pete, you're the nurse, mate. No, it's just
Well,
he's.
there's two of them on the pod,
I
mate,
know,
and
yeah,
both of us
two of
would handball to you.
That was
No,
unbelievable.
in all seriousness, I'll just open up the article real quick. So basically, he's still on light training duties and hasn't really resumed even running at the moment because of lingering symptoms from a concussion. And it wasn't from a game itself. It was actually from a training drill, I think, before Christmas. Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't from his honeymoon or something? And they're just covering it up? Because he did get married in the off-season.
Oh, wow. What sort of kinky stuff you reckon he's up to?
I said this in the Patreon chat on Facebook Messenger that he was trying to dive between the two ones on the back of his Guernsey and he was on the ground and he just
Just couldn't make it.
booped his head. Anyway,
Amazing.
so he's back at the club at the moment, but Darren Burgess basically said they're treating it seriously and he's just under light exercise. So hopefully he can pull up all right. But note to self, calm down on the honeymoon, allegedly. Isn't that right, Damon?
I had no such issues. I don't know. No concussion for me when I went away on my honeymoon. So, but it is worrying though. Hopefully he can get back to it. Nurses, when they say delayed effects of a concussion, what sort of things are we talking about? Because in my mind, a concussion is like a really bad headache that lasts for a while.
I'll take this one, Elodie. So what happens is that the symptoms you get from a concussion,
Yeah.
they get delayed, so they're later.
Oh. Wow.
And I know you're aware of it. It's awareness.
You're aware. You're cognizant to the fact of the concussions.
Do you have a dictionary there, Peter? Are you cheating? We didn't learn that in nurse school.
Lleyton, when you ask a question that you think is really, measured and it's going to be an insightful answer, and then you just get the piss taken out of you?
Welcome to the Crowject.
Yeah.
Exactly. God.
What did I expect? So, but seriously though, like blurry vision and bad headaches, and is it going to affect him long term? Do you think, or
We hope not. We honestly hope not. But hopefully it all goes okay, and he's back at training sooner rather than later. I know Will Hamill obviously had a lot of concussions. He had some time away from the game too, so hopefully he's not too affected by it. And he was one of our meters gained kings from last year, and hopefully he'll be back at it in no time.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. And it's delayed concussion, so it happens later.
Oh, later. Like not before the concussion, but after the concussion.
not before the honeymoon, after the honeymoon?
I
experiences?
see.
Right.
It's like a credit card. Like, the pain isn't at first, but it'll build up later if you don't pay it.
Well, all the best to Seedsman.
That's the title of this pod: Credit Card Concussion.
You could take that in many ways. All right, moving on. What do we got next? We've got New Church lighting up the track, according to Duday.
So Duday basically came out, and this is a favourite of Cream's as well, Tariq Newchurch, who Cream had as an early Creamy's call for last year that he would debut last year. And like all Creamy's calls, didn't happen. But Tom Duday described Tariq Newchurch as lightning across the early sessions of pre-season as well. And apparently Newchurch could add another element of our forward line, certainly, and he's taken a huge step, probably over a gym bag. But another player on Duday's radar was Ned Henry as well, purely for trying to beat the crap out of Riley O'Brien. No, he said, he also said, and this is a direct quote, he doesn't mind yapping.
No.
Talks a lot in general, but on the field, he's been incredible with direction.
So he's using his...
So he's a thinker.
Yeah, he's using his words and his vocab for good rather than just upsetting ruckman.
For good, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially our own ruckman. Leave that to the
right.
games.
If you're going to bully a ruckman, bully Nick Naitanui. We learnt that from Rob.
That's it. That On McHenry, though, that is so encouraging to hear, especially because a lot of people, I'm sure you guys find this too when you chat about, who's in and who's out of the team. I've met more people that are on the fence about McHenry than probably any other player, especially late last year. And
Really?
I think, it was an odd one because most of the people I'd speak to would just go, oh, well, what does he bring? What does he do for you? And you list off, the meters gained and the running and the blah, blah, blah. And then they go, yeah, but does he score goals? Does he tackle? Does he link up? Does he do this and that? So he's kind of one of those guys where, I don't know, people are sort of waiting to see what tricks he's got or, can he break a game open? Can he kick goals? But hearing that really, I think is really encouraging because you think Nathan Bickley back in the day, Mark Bickley, I'm sorry. Nathan Buckley, Mark Bickley. You can see what I did there. Bickley back in the day wasn't the best at any one particular thing in footy, but he was the best leader. He was the best at coordinating the troops. So I'm not saying McHenry's, maybe he's future captaincy material back on the back of this, maybe he is, but he's, if this is what he brings to the team and he's just keeping everything in alignment and he's just positivity and just, good vibes, then good. That might be what he brings to a young list next year.
In my mind, McHenry sort of fits that forward pocket role and has a much higher ceiling compared to a Lockie Murphy. So, no offense to him, but Lockie Murphy works really hard. But I think McHenry's probably got a bit better skill. But Lockie Murphy's definitely needed at Crowmania whenever he's stopped playing.
Ned McHenry just doesn't have those skills. He doesn't know how to sell a beanie. So
Exactly.
He's not good at stock take.
Yeah.
No.
You see my FOS machine, he keeps hitting it against his head.
He's got delayed credit card concussion from doing that, doesn't he?
Oh, God.
But yes, it is good to hear hear positive things coming out of preseason. Preseason, obviously it's preseason, so before the season, Damon.
I see.
Not post-season. Yeah,
I see how that works.
It sets up for the season, and it's just good to hear these positive things coming out of it. So
until it gets to about 2 weeks out from round one, and then we just start hearing article after article of who's tearing up the track, who's shed the kilos, who's gunning for round one. It just becomes a bit of a joke after a while. But at this time of year, it is really good to hear young players doing impressive things and impressing their senior players. That is a really good thing.
Yeah, definitely. On the note of a way more amateur football player, I've just started my first preseason. It's very exciting playing for Golden Grove Football Club.
Get around it.
I did the 2K time trial the other day and I nearly died, so I've got a new respect for anyone that plays football.
What was your time?
I think it was 12 and a half minutes
how
or
long's your
something like
calendar?
that.
Okay.
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
It started going dark and I lost track. I lost track of days.
You got lost and then... But you end up doing more Ks.
Exactly.
They asked you
12
to
and a
do...
half minutes is okay, I think. I think it's just
It's
just
not
over
bad.
10 Ks an hour. I don't know.
They asked you to do.
That's all right.
They asked you to do 2K in under 10 minutes. You did 10K in under 2 days. But
Exactly.
whatever works for
I
you.
understood. I
You should
understood the assignment.
have done 2.2 Ks and said to the coach, "Sorry, I always give 110%."
That's a good one. Using that
That's a
next
maths
time.
joke. Oh, yeah. God.
Moving on to Erin Phillips and her comments about the season being at a bad time. I think me and you, Damon, touched on this last week, but you got a bit more to add about this, do you?
Yeah, well, only because she did another interview with a podcast. I've forgotten her name.
That shall not be named.
Oh, well, we don't want to
The
shout
rival.
Yeah, we don't want to shout out the
Fear.
rivals. No, it was with Shani Lleyton, who's changed her name since that, actually. So she's... Forget her actual name, I'm sorry. But and who was the... I'm terrible. I can't think of anyone's names. Who was the boundary rider for the AFLW this weekend? She was calling the Crows game.
Samantha Lane.
Sam Lane.
wasn't it?
Sam Lane. It was Sam Lane and Shani Lleyton. Shani Nee Lleyton. I forget what her new name is now. Pete, edit all of this thoroughly, please. Put a marker down. I don't know what I'm talking about.
We're not.
Erin did an interview for their podcast and they spoke about this time of year and playing footy at this time of year. And she made some amazingly insightful points just around how basically January sucks for pro sports people. Just to paraphrase her, she was talking about how, firstly, it doesn't feel like you get a proper Christmas break because you get, straight back into the pre-season at the end of December. She was talking about how that might not have been a big deal, for her 10, 15 years ago, but now she's got many small children. She's got a wife and she's got a full-time job now. And she said more and more girls are in that position, and as they get older and if they do start having families and they've all got to maintain full-time work, this time of year means they've got to sacrifice too much over Christmas, play in a time slot that's really garbage. Like Elodie, I said to you, I can't stand this time of year for sports because it's hot. You don't feel like going and sitting on the outer of an oval. And she was talking about how the crowds are low because people are still on holidays or people are just returning to work. And it's just such a messy time of year. But she really shone a light on what's going on for the actual players. And she also, in this same interview, talked about the lack of facilities that they get because the men are back to full-time training for their preseason. So they don't get the same access to the gym, to the pool, to the masseuse, to the strappers, all those basic things you need to be successful. So she was really pushing, as we talked about Elodie last week, she's pushing for it to be in October, right after the men's season, right when they're all going on holidays. But when I read that for the first time, I thought, well, okay, that's just an opinion. But then when she really delved into the logistics of what they're missing out on by playing at this time of year, it's really huge. It's actually kind of alarming.
I know way back, probably 2-3 years ago on the pod, I was championing absolutely for this because I said that period after the grand final, there's that lull, especially for cricket fans like myself, where you think to yourself, do I want to watch the Big Bash? No. Do I have to wait until, the first test? Like, seriously, there is nothing in October.
No, there's not.
If you're not an American sports fan or an EPL fan or wherever else like that, there is sweet FA. There seriously is. There's a huge vacuum. And to be honest, I feel like the NBL should be starting around that time properly. But I feel AFL women should be filling that vacuum directly after the grand final. I couldn't agree more.
There's been this argument for a while that this sort of time of year, people have sort of seen it as like whichever sport can capture January is going to win out over all the others. But I don't think we need to do that with AFLW. I think we've shown that, even in a crap time slot, people turn up to Norwood Oval. Even when you play it, all jokes aside, you play it further away from the city, people still turned up for the round one game, just not as many as we would have liked. So I think the product is good enough and the following is strong enough that people will go no matter what time of year you play it. There's no need to worry about competing with... Who are they going to compete with in October? When does the A-League start up? Like, who cares? No one's watching the A-League. No one...
Who's really watching soccer in summer?
I watch the EPL, but...
No. But like in the sense of going live, like every single A-League fan that I know all complain about when it is. It should be in winter. And they used to do that with the NSL. And it actually competed really well. But people that are going to like the NSL or A-League or anything else like that, they're going to watch it. Yeah. It doesn't matter. And people are going to watch AFL women's no matter what. They're going to consume it. And it's about when and how. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it should be in October. So just so you know, the name of the pod is The W with Shani Norda.
Norda, thank you.
And Sam Lane.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Someone's done their research.
Yeah, thank you, Google Chrome tabs.
Yes. Very well articulated, like the way that Erin sort of talked, not that I've heard the pod, but what you've said about what, the way that she's talking about it and, what you guys are saying about people are going to show up anyway. People are going to watch it if they want to watch it. So you may as well do it in a way that's going to suit the players who are playing because, as we said, they've got families, they've got full-time jobs. It's not a career. Well, it's not a career as much to them as it is to the men. They don't make the money to live off of this. It's only a few months out of the year. So make it convenient for them. Well,
that was the other point that Phillips made. They asked her, if you could snap your fingers and change one thing about this league overnight, what would it be? And I was expecting her to say the time slot. And she said professionalism because... And we've been fighting this almost as a fan base since the inception of AFLW. The argument has always been, well, it's professional when it starts making its own money. But her argument is flip to that. If you make it professional, the quality of the competition will improve. When you get girls that quit their full-time jobs and start training full-time, they will improve. When you when the girls don't have to worry about going on holiday, or if they can actually pay, basic things like pay for childcare and babysitters, then they can actually start committing themselves to the game and improve quicker. So,
and the earlier you do that, the more rollover benefit effect will happen in the next few years, and more people will be attracted to actually do it as a career.
Yeah, it's almost like having full-time umpires too. Did you hear that, AFL?
Oh my God, yeah. 150 years and we still haven't worked that out.
Don't get me started about Sheen in the 97 grand final. That bloke, you can't call. And get onto our Patreon as well to watch our 97 grand final recall, which included Sam Tugwell.
What a beautiful...
Patreon.com
Seamless.
/Crowject.
Yeah, don't worry, that's
Beautiful
unlike
segue.
us.
Seamless.
Yeah.
But back to the...
Like frozen butter.
That segue, Pete, was a work of art. That was champagne segueing, sir. Well done.
Yeah. Until everyone pointed it out, including me. So, anyway.
I was just going to add to that it definitely did open my eyes now that I've started playing for a local footy club, that there's so many girls there who are, probably AFL level, their talent is AFL level, or at least SAMFL level, but they don't play because it's too much commitment. When you've got a full-time job, you can't commit to it. You can't work your full-time job and train 3-4 nights a week, play every weekend. It's just, so it is unfortunate that it's not more of a career.
Yep.
I want it to be where my daughter, she's 2 at the moment, but eventually I hope that she can play women's footy at some level. I don't care what. But, if she ends up going professional or anything else like that, I want it to be full-time. Just for her own sake. I don't want to have to be dealing with all this crap where it's, this whole debate about should it be professional. I think it should be. Yep. I think it should be funded. The AFL makes enough money. If they can put money into bloody AFLX and junkets to Shanghai that go absolutely nowhere, then I think they should put into AFL wins. I think that's a better investment.
I almost would have, and this might be the wrong way to think about this, but I've been saying for a while that they grew the game too quickly without putting that infrastructure in place. So the AFL was too keen on every club having a women's team, which I'm not against at all, but they did that at the expense of things like funding the players properly and going professional. So now, as of next season, we'll have a full 18 teams, won't we? All the teams that don't have one now will. If we bring up the professionalism argument again, it's almost too easy for the naysayers to say, well, now there's too many girls to pay that amount of money and it doesn't bring in enough. It's like, well, if you made it professional when it was 8 clubs back then, and then you just added club after club, it wouldn't have been such a big financial investment every time. But they didn't do that. They just seemed content to roll out a full nationwide part-time competition, which is going to be so much harder for the girls to be a part of. So it's just more testament to the fact that they really haven't... Sorry, I'm going off the deep end here, but I really don't think they've run AFLW right from the beginning. They haven't given it the time or resources it needed to get up. And it's testament to how good the girls are at playing it, how loyal the fans are to watching it, and how passionate everyone is involved in it, as to how well the league is actually doing right now. Because it's not thanks to the AFL, it's thanks to the girls playing and the people coaching and delivering the product.
I reckon we should just have a separate pod of what is the deal with the AFL women's. In all seriousness, the admin side of things, that's something that I've always hated, but we could go on and on about it, Damon.
Yeah. Oh, no, I shouldn't, because I've got more to say, but we will.
No, in all seriousness, I think we should do a separate episode about it, because I get fired up about it too.
Oh, let's do it.
But yeah, let's do it.
Bunch of middle-aged white men get angry about women's sports. I like it.
Elodie, you're invited too.
Once you finish your other 2K time trials, so that'll be in about 5 to 7 days.
Great, I'll see you guys at the finish line. Now something else that Damon could go on and on about. Here we go. And Lleyton.
Yeah.
We've got new jumpers for the Crum ladies. Tell us about those, Lleyton.
Yeah, we do. Damon and I have already done a new Get Your Cron episode about the Indigenous jumper, both the men and the women's announcement. So they've got a new one using the same one design and celebrating both the male and female Indigenous heritage, which is great. And also released today is the new slightly altered Crows Pride jumper that they'll be wearing, I think, this weekend against West Coast. What was everyone's thoughts on those two jumpers? Especially Damon.
Yeah, no, I've said enough tonight, but before I throw it to other people, how is it slightly altered? Lleyton, the pride jumper. It to my eye, it looked like last year's.
Isn't it the shoulders?
Yeah, the shoulders has been added, the rainbow stripes,
Oh, okay.
which look good.
They're pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
I like that. It's the first time I've seen it. So it's got a racerback crew V-neck line. It's 87% polyester and 13% elastane, whatever the hell that is. Yeah, that's all I've got to say on it. I think it looks brilliant, though.
Let's have a look. I'm just looking now. Yeah, it does look good. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yes.
It's been good this week, Lleyton. I'm sure you've been the same like me. I think mainly today, all of the pride jumpers have been dropping one after the other and just seeing what all the clubs are doing. If you haven't seen Carlton's yet, I think theirs is the best so far. It looks unreal. Yeah, but I'm very happy with the Crows one. The way they've just incorporated the flag into the hoops like that looks really clean, really good.
I think with our Crows Pride ones, unfortunately with our base colour set, the rainbow doesn't stand out as much on the other jumpers like the Carlton ones, but it's still great initiative. I think the only club not to be doing it, funny enough, is West Coast. They haven't announced theirs yet.
I did
They've got
see that.
a rainbow singlet, but not the Guernsey yet.
They released a statement today about it. It was a sort of I understand it in a way. It was a sort of weird statement where they said, obviously we're highly behind the cause, we support it, but being a new club, we only want to be releasing like one special Guernsey each year, and we're doing an Indigenous Guernsey, so we're not going to do the Pride Guernsey because we don't want to flood people with too many new Guernseys when we're a new club. It was a bit strange. It's kind of like it's like, I'm sorry, Damon and Lleyton, but it's just a fucking Guernsey. it's just a shirt. It's just something you wear when you play the footy. Like, is it that much of a big deal? But it was a very well articulated statement that they made. And they did say it for the warm up. We're going to be wearing the Pride singlets. I think they've got Pride socks to wear as well. So they're supportive of the cause. They just don't want a standalone Guernsey.
I have the statement here, Elodie, if you don't mind me reading it. Our intention for specially designed jumpers is to make sure it has enough space and time for us to be able to promote, educate and inform, O'Connell told the Western Australian. O'Connell, obviously.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I can understand that.
Our ambition is to do one each year rather than put two in at the same time. We're very comfortable with the fact that we're taking a very patient approach to introducing new playing kit during our early years. So, yeah, like you said, Elodie, obviously they're just going, look, we're a brand new club. There's a lot to do and consider in the formation of this club. And to me, that almost reads as we didn't quite get around to it and we didn't want to rush it and do a half-assed job of it, which is...
I was going to say, someone missed the email. Someone missed the email.
Definitely.
Probably.
Whoops, forgot to design that one. Like,
there's a big email train going around now, and I sent you this 2 monthts ago.
Yeah. Got lost in an idea shower.
Oh no, it was in my
It's not a
outbox.
brainstorm, it's an idea shower. Didn't upload it. Oh, crap. Ah, well. Anyway, so there was also the away Indigenous jumper as well, which we discussed as well. I really like the yellow version of that one. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Yes.
Very nice. Yes.
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 And if you want more analysis of those jumpers, check out the Patreon page where Lleyton and I have got hundreds of hours of us just talking about singlets that men wear when they play the footy. We've weirdly dedicated our adult lives to this topic, so please pay money to hear us talk about it.
That's why we're not.
Crowject.
That's why we're not hearing too much from you guys. You're not giving it away for free. You got to pay for that sort of content.
Exactly.
So we'll jump to our next game, which is a preview of next round versus West Coast AFL Women. So how's the form for AFL? Aren't they doing their big COVID-safe journey around the country at the present time?
Yeah, so we'll be playing them in Melbourne.
Ooh.
At Swinburne Centre, wherever that is.
Swinburne Centre.
So that's the neutral ground, so the equivalent of playing at Noarlunga.
It's near Noarlunga, apparently, I've heard.
Yeah, it's about as far away, Elodie, for you and I to get there, it's about as far away as it is for Lleyton to drive to Elizabeth Oval.
Oh, okay, I see.
Just so you know, it's a punt road.
Okay.
Swinburne Centre.
Since when did this happen at the Swinburne Centre? That's okay. Righto.
Okay.
So, I feel like West Coast are coming off a cracker of a week. You know, they've got a little controversy around the no Pride Guernsey. They've got they haven't won a game yet this season, and they just gave Gold Coast their first win in 672 days. So,
And that's not just the women's team; that's the whole club. Just
yeah, that's it.
A
Well, it could have been
COVID-safe
longer.
ticker tape parade. Someone's pouring shredded paper from the Q1 Gold Coast. Oh, God.
So it could be, like Damon said earlier, we've played the top, like two of the top premiership contenders. West Coast probably not in that in that category, but you never know what can happen.
Yeah, we're not overconfident, but we will win.
yeah.
Yes, we will destroy them.
Yes.
I'd like to think of this as being, this might be the nerviest 8 to 10 goal win I think I'm ever going to watch. It'll be
8 to 10 goals.
I think it'll be a destroyation, but the whole time we'll be like, no, don't get ahead of yourself. Don't get too ambitious.
You'll be thinking we're playing Richmond and you're having flashbacks.
Oh God, yeah. I hope not. That sounds awful, Lleyton. Why'd you do that? But yeah, no, the West Coast Eagles have not looked impressive, really. Beaten by the Suns. The shame of it is that their crosstown rivals and the Dockers, who beat them by 28 points in the first round, they look about as good as we do at the moment. So it's hard. Like West Coast they just might not have found their form yet, but I don't think playing all the way across the other side of the country is going to help them recapture that either.
Well, they haven't even found their pride Guernseys. Am I right?
Oh, got him.
Do you reckon they just forgot to pack them to Melbourne? They're like, oh no, quick, put something out.
Quick, put a press release out.
Yeah.
It's better to
Still in
say.
quarantine.
We have to dry clean them.
All right, so Peter, who wins? Best on ground, and how many goals does Woodland kick?
So who wins? It'll be the Crows. We win by 17 points. Ash Woodland will be the leading goal kicker with 3 goals and 1 behind. And best on ground will be Hatchard.
Lovely. How about you, Lleyton?
Yeah, I reckon Crows by, I'll just go close one in 12 points. And best on ground, Noffy. I don't know. Just not Hatchard.
What?
And Woodland's
Anyone but Hatchard.
No, just someone different. She's
Not the kind
dominating
of
me.
person that talks to Damon in their spare time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Do you reckon Noffy will get fired up post-interview?
Maybe. I reckon it's just Damon just loving all the North Adelaide players. You mentioned about 50 times on the grand final call if anyone's watched it. But I'm choosing Noffy because she's a Glenelg prospect, Damon. Different team.
So, you know when you make a joke and you think, oh, that's only funny to me, but the more I make it, the funnier it becomes just because it annoys the hell out of everybody? That was kind of my logic with the call, and I don't think it worked. I think I just annoyed everyone. But definitely check that out on Patreon, guys, if you want to hear our 97 recall grand final. I think, while I'm speaking, I think the Crows will win comfortably. I'm tipping another 30-point win. And I reckon Woodland will kick 2 because teams are going to start putting extras on her. And I'm going to go for Martin to be best on ground.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how about you, Elodie?
Yeah.
Oh, me.
Hello.
I also think it might be a bit of a close one, like Lleyton said. I'm going to go 10 points. Best on ground, I think Stevie Lee has been finding some form. So I'm going to go Stevie Lee. Woodland would still kick 3, I reckon. And I think I've answered all my questions. I've forgotten what I've asked. But yeah, Stevie Lee best on. I think she's been really good.
And if you're listening to this as well, we'll be doing our, before the game, we'll be doing our predictions on our Instagram story as well. So make sure you jump on there on Friday. We're giving away a Crombini on there too, to the one that is nearest the pin. And I forgot to do it last weekend because, well, I forgot. But what can you do? The predicted forecast on Saturday is going to be 33 degrees and sunny.
Ooh, lovely.
That's in Melbourne, not here.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that.
So we're playing at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, so that'll be great.
Oh, normal time
Boiling
slot.
weather.
That's good.
What?
Oh, where's
On a
those 3
Saturday.
o'clock hottest point of the day time slots? All right. Well, Peter, what else do we need to say? What do we need to plug?
So there's a few things just to go on. Firstly, thank you to our sponsors in Paymet SA, Trojan Aluminium, and for coming on board as well, Nathaniel's Coffee. And Damon, you went down there and got yourself a lovely little caffeinated beverage, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times this week. They're really, really good. I like them a lot.
He's a good egg and a Crom merchant as well. And big thanks to our Patreons as well, patreon.com/Crowject to sign up there. Our Crowject crowdfunders are Brad M, Drew Corner, James Payne, Jeremy Withers, Sam Curtis, Lockie Dand, Michael Bornholm, and Ray and Shahin Marty. And also just need to give a shout out to some of the new patrons that have joined up recently too. We've got Marty Dickenberg, a lovely guy who sat next to me at the round 1 Geelong game. He heard me say something and then he turned around and said, "Are you Peter from the Crowject?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's happened." No, he's a fantastic guy, and hopefully sit next to you again, mate. Christian Bassani as well, and Matt and Neil Royland's coming from the UK, who have signed up as well. And that was a horrible British accent.
Yeah, I don't know where in the UK you thought you were just then. That was.
I don't know, wherever they make McVitie's digestives, get around there. Get the dark chocolate ones into you.
So we've gone international. We've got a UK Patreon now.
Yes.
We've got a few, I think.
Awesome. Yeah. How good.
Glad you've been paying attention, Dame.
Always.
Don't forget as well to sign up on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as well, at Crowject as well, for all of our social side of things. And anything else that we need to go through, guys, real quick?
No.
We covered it
Cool.
all.
Oh, don't forget as well, we'll be having a new segment coming on the pod soon for all things AFL fantasy as well, which Elodie will be running, and I've called it Fantasyland. And yes, Mariah Carey's Fantasyland will be the intro for that one too.
Oh, that's lovely. I love these meetings on air. I better,
There you go.
I suppose, learn something about fantasy.
Yeah,
And also a
give her
big
the
shout out to-
responsibility on air. So she has to do it.
It's hospital handball.
She can't refuse the job this
2K
way.
time trial. Yeah. Also, so we are recording COVID safe as well. So if the flow seems a little bit off, it's because we're using Riverside for this one and not Zoom or anything else. But hopefully it all works fine. But thank you so much for listening, guys. And don't forget to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts if you can, and share us wherever you're listening to us. But my name's Peter, and that's Lleyton, Damon, and Elodie. And go Crom.
Go
Crom.
Go, Crom.
Go Crom.